probably the busiest rural station in England, is 14 miles from London. This lovely unspoiled village is representative of the England that was and the England that happily still is. The peace of the cottage garden seems so remote from the entertainment world, and the rippling river remains unspoiled as though faintly contemptuous of that which we call progress. Even the ploughman continues on his way, quite unconscious that the good earth is to be ploughed up by up-to-date machinery for a very different purpose than simply tilling the soil. So here we have huge machinery delving into the land, laying the foundations of buildings which will eventually employ thousands of men and women. Cranes that lift girders as though they were pieces of matchwood, girders which will eventually form the construction of yet one more stage of a modern film studio. Builders, bricklayers, plumbers, engineers are all actively engaged in erecting the studios of London film productions, the finest studios that the British film industry can boast of in this country. London Film Productions. Words that are synonymous to you sitting in your seats with the best type of British film. The Private Life of Henry VIII, The Scarlet Pimpernel, Sanders of the River, The Ghost Goes West, Elephant Boy, The Drum, and many more which have been made for your delight and entertainment. A new activity and a new importance has been brought to Denham through the erection of the studios, and Denham Station has awakened to a new dignity. Hundreds of studio employees travel down from London daily. Carpenters, plasterers, typists, they all queue up, ready to clock in at the imposing studio gates. And the routine and discipline of a modern factory applies to the men and women who make modern entertainment. Each employee clocks in and then quietly goes off to his or her job, and the same routine applies to the crowd artist or extra employed in production. Not all the employees travel by train. A number of them have cars. And the petrol bill for this lot would be quite staggering. Well, here we have another angle of the crowd artists checking in. Each artist receives a voucher, and at the end of the day's work hands it to the cashier in exchange for a paycheck. Come on, you know the time for clocking in. Jump to it. Oh, it slipped right out of my hand. Now, here is one of the most important departments in the studio, the wardrobe. If it's a costume picture, each artist is supplied with a costume essential to the period. Tinkers, tailors, soldiers, sailors, they all come alike to the wardrobe. Certainly one of the most interesting departments in any film studio is the makeup room, and is exceptionally so in the Denham Studios. Highly paid experts are employed to repair the ravages of nature, and many an ugly duckling has become an extremely elegant swan, having passed through the expert hands of the makeup man. Here in the workshops of London Films, you get some idea of the terrific industry that is needed to build those gigantic and imposing sets which distinguish any first-class production. Aeroplanes, factories, cathedrals, palaces are constructed in a miraculously short time and as ruthlessly destroyed. The plaster shop is equally important, and every man employed is an artist. Epstein could be envious of some of their achievements. Master carpenters are busily engaged in putting into concrete form the designs of the art director. For exterior shots, weather permitting, it is sometimes necessary to work in the open, or what is technically known as on the lot. You can get some idea from this shot the amount of construction work that is necessary for producing a bridge or an eastern city complete with minarets. Those cars in the background, of course, rather spoil the illusion, but that's the cameraman's fault. It's always as well to be prepared for surprises in a film studio. Consequently, one doesn't bat an eyelid when in the middle of this city of almost Arabian Nights splendor, one is confronted by the model of a sailing ship. Nay, a galleon. As far as the horse is concerned, he's treating it with the same contempt as Sir Francis Drake would have done. Oh, it's a queer jigsaw affair, this world of making pictures. And railway stations, houses, mansions, hoardings, factories, bridges, what have you, they're all jumbled together as carelessly as a child's toys in a playbox. We even have our own railway station. Probably only paint and 3 plywood, but there you are. It looks like a railway station. And an engine. And rather skeleton-looking trucks. And now for the first time we see a picture actually in the process of being made. It's always an astonishing thing to me, the amount of men who gather behind a camera once you've erected it. Here's the sound van, which is necessary when a unit's on location. In this case, they are shooting a scene in South Riding, and those hearty-looking people in the background, assembled at the hunt meet, are extra artists. The director and the production unit are critically examining the composition of the scene. If I know anything of film directors, it'll be some time before he's satisfied. Well, let's leave him to it. Here is another unit working on the lot, and these natives you see in the background are assembled to make a scene in the Four Feathers in Technicolor. Hello? It looks as if they're actually going to start shooting. Yes, the director is looking through the rangefinder of the camera. Apparently he's satisfied. The clapper boy's holding up the number of the scene. Okay, roll 'em. And so from labor to refreshment. The box lunch is the most convenient way of feeding the unit when they're on location. It consists usually of a pork pie, bread and cheese, a very impressive tart, and sometimes bicarbonate of soda. These little brownies are far too young to be afraid of indigestion, and this little lass in front, well, she believes in the slogan, eat more fruit. The studio men have their own canteen. Sometimes as many as 20,000 meals a week are served in the canteen and restaurant. The female staff and the artists have their own cafeteria. If milk's fattening, these four girls are certainly not on a diet.
Blimey, film acting, it's as easy as drinking beer. Good health.
No parking. Well, that may apply to baby cars, but not to these babies. And this is London Film's powerhouse. An impressive sight, isn't it? 6 diesel engines totaling 6,600 horsepower, driving dynamos which generate over 3 million units per annum, equivalent to the plant required for a town of 30,000 to 40,000 inhabitants, the largest privately owned diesel generating station in the British Isles. And now come along to the stage and have a look at a set that is having the finishing touches put to it before the camera starts turning. The camera operator focuses on the scene. The microphone slowly swings into position, care being taken that it casts no shadows. Well, everything seems satisfactory. This is a musical, and these girls with their dancing partners are mostly recruited from the London musical comedy stage. Sometimes they have as many as half a dozen cameras working on a scene like this so as to get different angles. From musical comedy to drama. London in 1900. British troops on their way to Africa. Street crowds cheering them, and as usual, the inevitable crowd behind the camera. Just one more scene from the Four Feathers. More troops, and still more troops, even a mounted bobby. Bringing up a sort of rear guard, an old-fashioned handsome cabbie. These extensive buildings are the laboratories. And as you can imagine, are probably the most important section of the entire plant. Thousands of pounds worth of very valuable film is constantly being handled here with the greatest care and delicacy by experts who know their job from A to Z. In this room, for example, the film is developed, and one piece of carelessness may result in an entire reel of film being ruined. Spool after spool of film is wound and unwound, and when the development is complete, the film is then taken to the cutting rooms. The cutting rooms at Denham are extremely interesting. Tins of film are brought in and are handed over to the assistant cutters. Girl cutters work on the negative film, but the actual cutting of the film is the job of the film editors, masters of their craft who know exactly what to eliminate and what to keep in. Many an actor's heart has been broken by the ruthless cutter. Many a potential star has finished on the cutting room floor. This film editor is working on the moviola. This ingenious machine enables him to run the whole film through as on the screen, except that, of course, the picture is in miniature. He can stop the film whenever he likes and mark his spot for cutting. An intricate job, as you can imagine. And so we leave studios, cutting rooms, actors, cameramen, and the rest of that somewhat bizarre world which makes pictures for your entertainment and return to Denham Village. It seems unbelievable that its placid calmness can remain so completely unruffled after the glimpses we've had of that gigantic enterprise so near and yet apparently so far away. Maybe the soul of Denham is chuckling contentedly to itself and murmuring, "Films may come and films may go, but I go on forever."